Good evening and salutations, my GH fans. So, this scene between Brad and Portia. Portia. I don't understand why she has this much of a hard on for Brad. Like, she sees Brad and she's like, well, what are you doing here? And he's like, well, somebody called out and, the shift manager asked me to sit there and cover. And, she starts to give him a lot of grief and stuff. And, one of the things that she sits there and says is that, he played the dead best friend card, in order to sit there and get the job. And I'm like, well, what card did you sit there and use when you cheated on Taggart with Curtis? You used, I was lonely and everything like that, so I had to sit there and find, somebody else to satisfy my, what card did you sit there and use? Right? Like, she sits there and talks about how, he has a bad history and everything like that with, working at the hospital and everything. And I'm like, well, you have a bad history as well. So would you like to sit there and be constantly judged on the stuff that you did years ago? So why are you know what I'm saying? Like, I understand that she's chief of staff and everything like that, but clearly Terry thought it was a good idea to hire him. And also, the shift manager who's responsible for sitting there hiring people felt it was a good idea. So I understand he has a bit of a history and stuff, but they wouldn't have okayed it if they felt like he was going to be still a problem. And he is still on probation. So I don't understand what this level of bullying is. And also, again, she acts like her itch don't stink. Um, she does talk to Trainer for a little bit. They catch up and Trina's like, she looks at Brad and she's like, oh, this is what Stella calls a bad seed. I'm like, well, if we're gonna be honest, your mom is kind of, she got some dubious past and some mistakes and stuff like that she did as well. So might want to kind of tone down the judginess. Um, One thing that I really didn't understand was why was Jason sitting there hanging out by Lulu's bedside? I'm not sitting there saying that to Jason, Lulu isn't somewhat of importance. I mean, hell, he did go out there to rescue Lucky to make sure that Lulu had a fighting chance at living. But the whole sitting by the bedside, that was a little kind of odd. Now, after that, at some point, he runs into Sam. And, I guess he comes off the elevator, or she comes off the elevator, and they see each other. And Sam is like, Jason. And I'm like, yeah, he knows his name. He doesn't need you to sit there and recite his name. And she does it in this kind of like bitchy way. And so Jason's like, Sam. And then just walks away at that point. It's like, I'm not dealing with you. You still want to sit there and have that same negative energy and same nasty little attitude. I'm not dealing with you. So he does what any respectful adult would do. Walk the hell away. She does apologize. One of the things she said was like, next time somebody gives you grief about being yourself, including me, ignore them. Like, yeah, I'm glad that she came to that conclusion. Like, yes, Jason apologized for just leaving and not sitting there telling her. But Sam does thank Jason for, rescuing Lucky and giving Lulu a fighting chance and everything like that. So, in a sense, she kind of buried the hatchet a little bit on that. And she says that she wants to apologize to Carly. I have mixed feelings about that. Was she out of pocket in a sense? Yes. Because, at the end of the day, she sits there and talks about how she wants to protect her family. I'm like, that's exactly what Carly is doing as well. Sunny, by extension, is her family. So I don't know what possessed you to sit there and think that she was going to betray Sonny and their daughters and everything like that just to help your mom out. Her snitch is saying that she was being selfish. I'm like, boo, Sam, what do you think that you're doing right now? But at the same time, she is worried and concerned for her mom. And if Carly could sit there and shed any light on Alexis not going to jail for a crime that she didn't commit, then on some level I do understand where Sam is coming from. So in that setting, I was like, I don't know how much an apology that you really need to sit there and owe her. Now Rick does talk to Heather, and one of the things that Heather Smith is saying is like, listen, I believe, I'm a lot better now. I need you to sit there and fight for me. And Rick doesn't really say much of anything, but I'm also just like, in a sense, you are fighting for her. And I don't understand why you didn't sit there and tell her that, he took the test results and went to different labs or whatever just to make sure that the numbers was right. Maybe he didn't want to sit there and get her hopes up, but that's what Alexis wound up telling her to do. It's like, yo, listen, have them test it somewhere else. People do make mistakes. Machines aren't perfect. There may be a way for you to sit there and fight this. Which, in a sense, this brings me to my next point, the scene between Alexis and Molly. So, Molly essentially had the same conversation with Alexis that Martin had. Listen, we got to sit there and prove that Sonny did it. And this way you don't go to jail for a crime that you didn't commit. And she's like, yeah, I get it. If we point the finger towards Sonny, then Christina's going to sit there and do something stupid and wind up getting herself thrown in jail. And I'm kind of just like, it's it's so stupid that this is this is where Christina's at this point. We can't sit there and trust Christina to act like a reasonable, sensible adult. So we got to sit there and protect Christina, and by protecting Christina, we got to sit there and leave her in jail. And she's kind of just like, this is just stupid at this point. Now Alexis wound up saying something along the lines of, well, this is okay. Let me back up. This is after Molly's like, listen, we can do all that, and then Christina could still want to doing something stupid to get her in trouble. And then this whole thing of you trying to protect Christina is just a waste. But Alexis sit there and says, when you're a mother, it's kind of instinct to sit there and protect your child and stuff. But of course, her snit is saying that triggers Molly because she lost a child because of Christina and her recklessness. So she just wound up leaving, and I'm kind of just like partly I guess you guys, she wants to sit there and try to reach out to sit there and try to help her mom, but at the same time, it's like she's smart enough to know where that whole conversation was going to go. So in a sense, it's like this was kind of a waste, and I know she knew that going in, but I guess maybe human nature. She wants to sit there and try anyway. Now, after Trina tells Ava that, she's going to be going back to school, she has to sit there and move on with her life. She can't sit there and let the whole Spencer and Esme thing, kind of stop her from living her life. Rick comes in. Rick says something along the lines of he's able to throw out something in Ava's case or whatever, so it should kind of help. He also gets an alert on his phone that the other test came back and, the numbers are a lot lower than what it was at GH. And Ava's like, most likely somebody did that on purpose to keep Heather in jail. So sooner or later, Portia is going to get discovered. Yeah, I'm assuming that she's gonna throw um, Brad under the bus, and eventually the truth is gonna come out, and she is going to, in a sense, look stupid. Because like you've been giving Brad this hard time about him, going into the lab and doing all sorts of like bad stuff or whatever because that's just what he used to do. But now you're going, you know what I'm saying? You're facing your punishment for the same thing that you accused him of doing that was in his past. But I guess on a side note, I can't blame Portia for why she wound up um doctoring the test to keep Heather in jail. Because at the end of the day, I don't care about the poisoning or whatever. Like, yeah, I get that part, but there's still dead bodies to account to. So her not being in her right mind for me is not going to really make that much of a difference because I do believe that she does deserve to pay for her crimes. So this whole Hat Daddy scene in Curtis comes down to if um, Marshall wants to leave to go be with this band or whatever for like 4 months, but he doesn't want to sit there and leave Curtis in the lurch because Curtis is not there taking on more responsibilities with Aurora, and he's just like, there's no way you're going to be able to handle Aurora and handle the nightclub at the same time. But Curtis is like, yo, listen, I don't want you to sit there and hold yourself back from me. I will find somebody that could, you know, run the club. Like, you should sit there and pursue your dream. So they go back and forth, and ultimately he decides to go. Like, you could have just sat there and fast forwarded from when they started to when he agreed to go, and you would have saved yourself a whole, I'll sit there and say maybe 7 or 8 minutes. Now, the other scene that wound up happening is between Lucky and Liz. Now, if you're an old school fan of Jonathan Jackson first meeting Liz and everything, then you'll enjoy this scene. For me, I was kind of like, eh. All she says is, she's worried about Aiden. And she's like, hey, listen, I know that you're back here for Lucky. I mean, you're back here for Lulu. Um, and once you're done, you'll wind up heading back off to doing whatever the hell it is that you're doing. But while you're in town, just make sure that you handle Aiden with care. Don't promise him don't sit there and promise him on things that you can't deliver. And yeah, that's pretty much about it. That's the gist of that scene. And I don't know if I mentioned this or I didn't mention this or I might have mentioned this briefly. Um, one of the things that Sam said when she was not there talking to Dante is that she owed Carly an apology. Yeah, I think I did sit there and say that. But she's also thankful that Jason did want him going to rescue Lucky. Weird she didn't have that same energy before, but whatever. Um, that was most of the gist of that scene. It didn't really go anywhere except for now she's more grateful that Jason did what he did. Um, oh yeah, and I briefly did talk about Heather and Alexis. Heather still sitting there saying that, hey, listen, while you're in jail, I can sit there and look out for you, but you need to sit there and do something for me. So the only thing that Alexis did was to sit there and tell um, Heather that, have Rick go out there and test it again, test the results again, because it may come back differently. Which is almost kind of pointless because that's literally what Rick is already doing right then and there. And part of me is still sitting there saying, like, why didn't you sit there and not tell her, hey, listen, I am fighting for you? And I did sit there and get another um, test results done after sitting there speaking to Liz or whatever. But again, I guess he doesn't want to sit there and get her hopes up, so okay, fine. Now, I feel like that's pretty much about it. I can't think of anything else that wound up happening. If I missed some stuff here or there, either write it in the comment section or come to the live stream tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We'll talk about all the shows, General Hospital, Days of Our Lives, Bold and Beautiful, Young and Restless. That being said, I'm going to go. I'll see you in the next video. Oh, also, I do gotta sit there and say, for people that live in New York, it was so weird, right? Like, let's put it this way. If I wasn't home, I would have missed GH. Because my DVR was scheduled for it to come on at 2 o'clock. And it didn't come on at 3 o'clock. And I think it's because the network didn't even know was it going to come on or not. So it was scheduled for 2 o'clock, and that's Tamara something, Tamara Hall, I think. And then when 3 o'clock rolled around, it was to be determined or whatever. I was like, wow, okay, it's a good thing that I was home. I mean, otherwise I would have had to sit there and try to watch it through means that I'm not going to sit there and share, or wait till 8 o'clock to sit there and watch it on Hulu. So that sucked. Um, anyway, like I said, if I missed anything, write in the comment section or come to the live stream.